The Arctic is lit by the midnight sun. The surface of the moon is lit by the face of the earth. Our little town is lit too by lights just above we cannot explain. Welcome to Night Vale. Welcome to Mooney Reads. My name is Beck, and today we are getting spookier. We are preparing for Halloween. I will be talking about 2 readathons that I'm going to be doing all throughout the month of October. This will not be my full TBR. I already talked about my Latinx book bingo, TBR. That goes on until October 15th. Additionally, there are at least 2 other readathons that I'm going to participate in towards the end of the month, so TBRs for those will be coming out at a later time. But for today, I'm going to be talking about Spooktober and the Disability Readathon. I'm going to start out with Sbooktober. Now, there are just an absolute ton of readathons going on this month, but I chose to participate in this one because I really loved the way that they set it up. I thought it was so creative. All of the prompts are based off of things that you would do at a Halloween party, which is part of the reason I'm dressed like Cecil Baldwin. Also, maybe because I wanted to dress up. Maybe I'll put on more costumes as the month goes on. Who knows? This is the only thing that I would have a reason to dress up for, since nobody's going to be hosting any Halloween parties, at least none that I'm going to be attending, because I don't like getting sick. But for Spooktober, first you have to pick your costume. For this, I'm going to be wearing a scary costume that is also a besties costume, because I am going to be buddy reading the Hannibal Lecter trilogy. I think there's more than just 3. I don't really know. I read part of Silence of the Lambs in high school, so clearly I'm not the expert. But one of my wonderful friends wanted to reread this series. I wanted to read it since I kind of sort of read Silence of the Lambs, but I'd never read the rest of them. So the books that will technically be for the scary costume and Buddy's costume prompts are going to be the first 2 in this trilogy. Next, at a party, there are going to be refreshments, so I picked out a few. So I'm going to be having some eyeball soup, which is a cover that I can't stop eyeballing, and for that, I have the book that matches my costume. It's a nice cover, it's a nice color. I also keep thinking about reading it, and it literally has an eye on it. So, I'm going to be reading this. I've had it for a really long time, and I got a little bit of the way through it. This specifically focuses on a couple of the characters. I don't know if it's gay or if people just wanted it to be gay. I hope that it is gay. I think one of the characters I vaguely remember being canonically queer. I have not listened to Night Vale in a really long time, so if anybody puts in the comments anything that has happened in the past 2 years, I might have to physically fight you. Because even though I haven't listened in a while, I do want to catch up. And I would also like to read this book, because I very much would also like to buy the other books, but I'm not going to let myself buy any of the other books until I read the one that I already have. Another refreshment that I'm going to partake in is Mrs. Lovett's Meat Pies, which is to have a book with a character you think will be unlikable. And for that, we have the 3rd book of Hannibal. Something tells me there's going to be maybe just a couple of things that aren't likable about a cannibal. So we're going to go with that. I will definitely be visiting the Candy Bowl, because the prompt for that is take a small piece and read a novella or graphic novel. I definitely plan on reading at least 1 graphic novel. I would really like to continue the Paper Girls series, so I may read one of those. If I can find a free version of The Girl from the Other Side's volumes, I would read that as well. I also have the option of rereading Mooncakes, which I am definitely going to do because it is so autumnal and wholesome. We love it. Another option that I have for this is Love Beyond Space and Time, an Indigenous LGBT sci-fi anthology. This isn't technically a novella, but it is short stories, so it seems like it would count for the Candy Bowl, just given the vibe of the prompt. If we're going to be at a party, there's going to be music. The music that I'm going to be picking includes The Monster Mash, which is a book with a monster. And for that, I'm going to be reading Immortal, Love Stories with Bite by PC Cast. This is an anthology of vampire-related short stories that's like YA vampires. I highly expect this to be cheesy. I highly expect this to be very, 2008. I was going to say 2009, but that was very close. I read PC Cast's series, the House of Night series, when I was in high school, and I loved it as a high schooler. I also apparently had very low reading comprehension as a high schooler. Not really. No shame on people who liked it. It is just very much not my thing now, but I've had this for a long ass time, so I'm going to read it. I think it might be amusing. Here we are. While I'm out on the dance floor, I'm also going to be doing the Time Warp by reading a part of a memoir from someone who is not a part of the time that I am in. So I will be continuing reading Revolutionary Suicide by Huey P. Newton. He lived from 1942 to 1989, so this is definitely a different time period for me because I was born in 1993. And the final music that I'm going to be engaging with during this party is Thriller, which is to read a thriller. And for that, I'm going to be reading Universal Harvester by John Darnielle. This could also have gone for the cover prompt, though, because look at that, especially in the light. This doesn't usually have this many rainbows on it, but, like, damn, that's a cool cover. John Darnielle is the lead singer of the Mountain Goats, who I love. I've made a video about them. And I've also read Wolf and White Van, and I really enjoyed it. There was a lot of really cool stuff with the way that he used time, because Wolf and White Van was basically told backwards. Anyways, I'm looking forward to Universal Harvester. From what I understand, the plot is basically that the main character works at a Blockbuster or Hollywood Video type store, but somebody is returning a tape because they said that it doesn't play the movie that they thought that it played, but it plays something else, and something mysterious unravels from there. And then the last element that we need in order to have our Sbooktathon party are the festivities. I will only be doing one thing at this party, and it is the one thing that I would not actually do in real life, and that is playing with an Ouija board. The prompt for that is a book people warned you about. And for this, I'm going to be reading An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. I have been warned about this book because it is very good, so people have talked about it. I've also known about it since before it was published because I've watched the Vlogbrothers for a really long time, so I should have already read this and I just haven't, so now I'm going to, and Halloween seems appropriate because there are aliens in it. So that's the Sbooktathon. I'm going to be hopefully reading all or most of those. I'm also going to be doing some of the Instagram challenges that they have, because it seems pretty cool. They have October 1st through 13th, where they have prompts, so if you're interested in seeing what I have for those, check out my Instagram. Now, the other readathon that I'm going to be participating in for the whole of October is the Disability Readathon, and I thought that this one was set up in a really interesting way as well, because this isn't only focused on books. There are 4 categories, and it's recommended that you do a book per category, but there are lots of different options. Some of them are, concerning books, but there are also other things that you can do online. For instance, one of the categories has watching a YouTube video by a disabled creator, or following new disabled creators on Instagram. Definitely check it out for the full list. I'm just going to talk about the options that I'm probably going to follow through with. For category 1, I'm going to be reading a book by an autistic author, and for that I'm going to be reading Care Work by Leah Lakshmi Pepnitsa Samarasinghe. If I don't get to that, or even if I do get to that, actually, I will also be doing the prompt in category 1 of watching a video by a disabled creator. I definitely would encourage other people to do this prompt as well, so I'm going to shout out some disabled creators that I like to watch. If you're looking for someone who does some booktube-ish stuff, Rogan Shannon has a really great channel. He talks about a lot of different things, not just bookish content, although he does have some good bookish content. The rest of these creators are not bookish, but definitely do have some great content. The first person is Annie Elaney. They've done a lot of different things on their channel. They do some stuff that is kind of like informative or educational, but they've also done things like poetry and the like. Another person that I like to watch is Jessica Kellgren-Fozzard, who does a whole lot of different videos. She has some really cute videos with her and her wife. She also has a lot of really good fashion videos. She's really into vintage fashion, as well as having content about LGBT and disability activism. The final person that I wanted to shout out hasn't consistently posted on YouTube in a while, which is totally fine, but he recently posted a video and I'm hoping that maybe we'll get more. If not, you can definitely check him out on Twitter and Instagram too, and that is Aaron and Sweeney. He does, on top of his content where he talks about disability and LGBT stuff, he also does a whole lot with art. And if you follow him on Twitter and Instagram, you also get lots of great cat content as well as some rat content, because he has a really great cat and rats as well. So I would definitely recommend all of those people. But back to the disability readathon. For category 2, I'm going to be doing the prompt to read a book with a blue cover. The book that I have doesn't have a totally blue cover, but there is blue on the cover, and that is No One Cares About Crazy People. You can't tell very well in the light, but some of the text is very dark blue, and this woman has blue on her shirt. This is a book that I actually drew to read. Last month, I had the idea, or really the month before last, I had the idea that I should pull some of the books that are on my shelves to read, especially ones that I'm not really sure when I'm going to get to, and I randomly pulled to read this book. I also pulled Just a Fun Age, and I don't have it necessarily on this TBR, but it is going to be coming, so I, in theory, am going to read this month as well. But the one that I'm reading for the Disability Readathon, this is part memoir, part like cultural studies kind of. He's talking about the treatment of people with mental illnesses, and he's coming from this as someone who has schizophrenia. That is my understanding. So I intend to read this. And for category number 3 of the Disability Readathon, I am going to be reading a book that I've been wanting to read for a long time, and that is Sister Outsider by Audre Lorde. If I don't get to this, or what would more likely happen is that if I have to use this in another category, which it technically could fit in for category 4, I'm going to be instead watching a dance performance done by disabled people, which I'm sure that I could find pretty easily on YouTube. But the final category that we have for the Disability Readathon is category 4. And for this, I plan to read something by a queer disabled person, which Care Work and Sister Outsider could both fit for. But I'm going to hopefully be getting a hold of one of Andrea Gibson's other books. I've read Pansy and I've read Lord of the Butterflies, but I'm hoping to get to one of their other ones. But if I can't for whatever reason, I can move stuff around and do some of the alternatives that I talked about. These are all of the books that I will be reading for Sbooktober and the Disability Readathon. If you want to check out my Latinx book bingo, TBR, that'll tell you more about some of the other books that I'm going to read towards the beginning of the month. And if you subscribe or stick around, you'll be able to hear about what I'm going to read towards the end of the month, because I'll be participating in a couple of readathons then. I will say that with this month's TBR, I am not kind of pointing out all of the books that I'm in the middle of. I actually do plan on filming a video talking about all of the books that I'm in the middle of, because it's kind of a problem. I do have other books that I do want to be working on, and ones that I've been really excited for. Things like the Toni Morrison book and the Patricia Hill Collins book that I've been really stoked for and just haven't finished yet. I'm not going to be putting as heavy of a focus on those. And honestly, I did put some nonfiction in this, but a lot of what I have, I think, is more light in content, or at least not as like real life kind of. And a lot of that's because I need to like let myself chill out. September was not a really great reading month, and I've kind of realized a little bit more that a lot of things are impacting me more than I thought that they were, so I need to chill out. And honestly, if there weren't as many cool things going on, I probably would have a smaller TBR. But I'm really excited for Halloween, so I'm going to read some of these spooky books. And it's going to be a fun time. Most of these are Halloween themed, and I love Halloween. I didn't get to do like anything for it last year, so if you see me going a little bit too hard, mind your business, because I'm just looking to have a good time. If you all have read any of the books on this TBR, definitely let me know what you thought about them. And if you have any Halloween-themed or fall-themed reads planned, let me know about those as well. And thank you all so much for watching. Good night, listeners. Good night.